What up? Welcome to another episode of Source and Company. As always, I'm your host, Source, of course. You can always follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Instagram is, both are at Smitty Source. You can follow the show's Instagram, which is Source NCO Podcast _ RVA. And of course, the Source and Company YouTube and Spotify channels as well. All right. So y'all know most of the time when I do joints, I try to connect with somebody who has a connection to Richmond. Today's connection is a little different. We will get into that in a minute, but let me go ahead and introduce this man so we can get to it. Today's company is, and I wrote it down a little bit. So first time I heard his name was back probably in the Source magazine long ago. Dang, Source magazine. That's a long time ago, bro. From the days of Lyricist Lounge, the Lyricist Lounge TV show on MTV, solo projects, EMC, guest appearances, Tribe, Black Star, etc. And now he's an author. He's an author. He wrote a book called What Words Are Worth. This is volume 1, New Beginning. And he is also a teacher, which I really want to get into. We're going to get to that first because I think that's dope. Today's company, Wordsworth.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
No doubt, bro. Appreciate you taking the time, man. How are you doing? Like, first of all, let's start it. Let's start at the beginning.
Yeah.
Start at the end. COVID, right? With COVID, you are currently a teacher.
Yeah.
You are also in Florida.
Yeah.
How has that been for you so far?
Man, it was kind of like nerve-wracking for a minute because of this thing you don't know who it affects and when it's going to affect them. I lost friends to it, actually a DJ, down here, DJ Griff Gotti that was down here. He actually made it his life, losing his life, made it to CNN and everything down here. So, rest in peace to Griff Gotti. And then, cause that's kind of like, man, you wouldn't expect it to happen to somebody, but like I seen him maybe like a month before and then actually texted him before he passed, just on some get better vibes. And then just kind of like going to school, you're not sure. You're in a room, it's 10 to 20 kids, you don't know, it's just every day it's a risk. Like when I get home, I sometimes just really just have to sit by myself and just think, and kind of like let the weight of that of going in kind of wash away after a few moments and stuff like that. So I have to sometimes sit down and just think and kind of like, hope and pray that I'm okay every day coming home because, it's a domino effect. It can be, this thing is taking out people's families. My wife has one of her best friends right now dealing with it and things like that. So it's been crucial. And then just trying to find the silver lining in it by being productive at the same time. So even though it's kept us in house, before we started recording, I was saying like a lot more interviews and things I've done because people have created more TV shows for themselves on Instagram and things like that. Mm-hmm. And that led to actually the book because I was during the pandemic, I was like, I don't want to have all this time and then not come out improved and bettered myself in some shape, form, or fashion. Right. So yeah, living in Florida, we go to school every day, face to face. I do online and face to face at the same time, so it's hybrid classes, and I'm just going with it. I'm just going with it, man. Like I try to be positive and go with it.
Understood. Yeah, actually, in my immediate area, they just literally today, which is actually. What is it, the 22nd of February. Today, this area just opened up to students from K through 2, I think. Today's the first day of them going. And they're going to open up, as the weeks go on. But my youngest daughter has chosen to stay home for that period because they had the option going in. It's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, and there's definitely a lot of the learning is being sacrificed. Kids that are being at home, Kids are playing video games, want to show up their LED lights in their room, want to go get food, eating ramen noodles on the screen, like doing stuff. So there's going to be a lot of issues down the line for some kids that didn't pay attention. There were kids at home that did fine, but those that really kind of took it for granted really going to suffer, I think, tremendously. And I think it's going to be like a reverberation throughout just the generation because of this little lapse here.
Yeah.
But, I think, for it to keep going and thriving and education to thrive, we have to be in that classroom.
Understood. So since we're here at the teaching anyway, let's talk about how you made the jump into teaching. I actually read something about it, and it was an interesting story because it happened like that for you, right?
Yeah.
Kind of an immediate thing. If you don't mind talking about that real quick.
Yeah, well, my youngest, when she was in I think this was 5th grade, maybe earlier than that, fourth or 5th grade, she was failing classes. Like she had A's, and then all of a sudden it just went like F. I was like, yo, what's going on here? Like out of the blue. So I'm concerned. I go up to the school. So I said, let me go meet this teacher. She had a substitute. I meet the substitute, and he said he a veterinarian. He don't really know what he doing up in. So right there, I'm irate.
Right.
I go down to the principal. I sit there for it's like she in a meeting. I said, I'll wait. I don't care if it would have been 5 hours. I waited for at least an hour or something. Go in the meeting, and the principal was telling me that the district has inadequate substitute teachers at the time. Like they don't have enough. They don't, people are coming in and then leaving in 2 weeks. It's in and out. So then my daughter's class is being split up amongst other teachers. So there's no real continuity there. Right. So what I said was I was heated about it. I explained that the guy told me a veterinarian and this and that. She said she really had no answers. So I just told her that, all right, well, what I'm going to do is going to go down to the district and become a substitute for her class. That way I can be there for her class and teach them. So I fill out all the paperwork. I go down to the district as I'm doing that so I can become a teacher. I get down there, and then this white lady comes from behind the counter as I'm dropping the papers off. I'm about to walk away. She's like, what you here for? I said, I'm here to be a sub. And she kept it at 1 million with me. She said, you don't need to be a sub. You need to be a full-time teacher. There's a lot of Black kids in this community that need you to be in the classroom. And matter of 3 seconds of me hearing that question, and right there, I was like, all right. And that was it. And I changed my life right there because I felt that was the realest question I've ever been asked in my life. I've never been asked nothing more important than that in my life, because it's like, if I don't heed to that call to action right there, something occurs with these kids. That's me. I caused some of those waves and ripples because I had an opportunity to stop that wave, but I chose to chill. So I knew that when I got asked that question, if you ask me a question, I'm going to just be as real as possible. I noticed, the weight of a question asked. So I took the weight of what it was and was like, yeah, if you see me as being able to do that, I've done enough for myself to an extent too, that, all right, cool, let me go help the next generation. And I went down there and did an interview and so on and so forth.
It's crazy, bro. That's crazy because I'm just thinking if somebody asked me that or if somebody brought that to me, I know my immediate reaction wouldn't be, I'm gonna do it. Yeah. Let me think about it. Let me see what I got to do, all that. And you took heed to that joint immediately. So that joint, it hit you.
Yeah, because that was, if you, I guess, process information as fast as I had to at that minute, that second, one, she saw me being able to help my race. She's not even of my race. So that's a fully loaded situation right there that I got to process and acknowledge what's happening right now, because it could have been, oh yeah, for a sub, all right, cool. And she having the weight of the world on her shoulders about minorities, but not wanting to throw it at me.
Right.
But in some shape, form, or fashion, or whatever the case, even she felt empowered enough and confident in herself enough to say, yo, this is what's going on. They need you. What's up? And, you know, I had to really, that's took me 3 seconds to acknowledge what was going on. And I would do that pretty much for anybody if it's that dire need, you know? So.
That's dope. That's dope. So what do you teach in middle school?
Yeah, I teach middle school. I teach 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. When I first started, I started teaching reading. So I got a reading certification. So within 2 years, my school won a grant, and then they allowed me to design the music program, the music production program. So I design the music program, the film program, and I teach TV production. So I teach TV, film, and music production. And yeah, so that's what they did. They knew what I did, but at that time, you know, they only had TV production. But once the grant came through, it was like their art school. They can do so many other things because of my capabilities of experience in all of those. So they was like, we want to do a full-time music program with what do you need? And then they trusted me to pretty much order everything I need and design a room the way I needed it designed. So it's like my classroom is like, I would honestly say it's like it's almost like a college class when they allow me to design it that. Like it's like almost a one of one, you could say.
That's dope, right? So that's a lot. That's a lot. We could stay on this topic for real for the
Yeah, yeah. I love talking about these things because there's only 2% black males in the country that teach.
right.
2% of 300 million people. So when the complaints happen and things of that nature are going on, and you know, it's just with me, it's just I'm like, all right, well, what are you doing? You got to kind of like look at, can you go in and help, and do you want to do it? And so when I think about a lot of things and a lot of people I may know, or just in general, I know what it's like to be the rapper. You know what I'm saying? I understand that you think you're gonna close down shop and your break at becoming the big rapper if you do this and things like that. But that's not how it is. I actually feel like I've been blessed more from teaching the kids. I got blessed more than pretty much any other time because I was able to take what I learned and bring it to share with them, and then the experiences combined have been unlike anything else.
Dang, wow, that's heavy. Let's let's take it back if you don't mind going back with me. We'll take it all the way back to Brooklyn, right? Born and
Yeah,
raised.
yeah. Born and raised in Brooklyn. Yep, for sure.
How do you when you think about like childhood, what like is it happy thoughts, fun times?
Yeah, yeah. I had a good childhood, man. I had a great childhood, I would say. I grew up in Kensington, Brooklyn, and it's like you cross a one street, you're in Flatbush,
Mhm.
So it's pretty much where I lived at. I was in the middle of everything. It was like middle class, you could say. But then you go like one block over is like the hood, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
then you go this block over here is maybe more white this way. So I was able to like I loved it because I think purposely I was raised and born into that world of balance, which is probably why my ideology is similar. Because I grew up with Jamaicans, Trinidadians, Asians, Jewish. I grew up with everything. I'm like the only rapper out of all my like 19 friends, maybe everybody else did rockers and reggae. You know what I'm saying? So that gives you an idea of how I grew up in Brooklyn in a way. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
that's big in Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. So I loved it, man, and it provided me a huge balance, man, because I was able to see the drug dealers, I was able to see the people that go to school, I was able to see the successful people, I was able to see the people who ran away from home. It was like um, I was. It's wild because I was blessed to see both sides, and that's how I feel I am, how I'm sewn together.
Right. It was education, because you got your bachelor's and you got your master's from Can I Do This? Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was education of like super important, or higher education super important in your family, or no?
No, I'm the first graduate. I'm the first of in a lot of these things, you know. So sometimes, you know, it definitely weighs on me to change the generation,
Hmm.
to do things that the generation doesn't have to worry about. Like under me, my kids don't have to worry about things and stuff like that.
Right.
Um, but I remember I have certain moments in my life that showed me how important education was. So I told this story the other day to some students. Actually, when I was in high school, I was cutting math class heavy, Mr. Gallagher's class. Used to cut it heavy. I had like 40 some absences. Only reason why I never really got caught because I had the mailbox key. So I was able to get the cutting cards every time I came home. So
Okay.
yeah, but I had create so, but whatever the case may be, that didn't work out for me because I wanted to have it go to night school.
Oh, what?
And night school, you know, probably a lot of people don't even fathom going to night school like that. But I had to go to night school, and I remember telling my mom like, I don't know if I'm gonna graduate this year. And she was like, oh, you gonna graduate this year? You know, like, oh yeah, you better. You know what I'm saying? So that moment of how seriously she took it made me realize how serious it was to have to do it. Um, but you know, there's moments like that that made me realize how important it was. And then um, when most of my what made me go to college was it was the block was empty and I didn't know everybody applied to college and left. So I'm sitting in, I was still working at a law firm, you know,
Mhm.
and another moment in my life was I was Xeroxing mad case papers. And I was like, nah, this in 5 years, this ain't the kids Xeroxing these papers. So I found out where they went to, and it was SUNY or Westbury. One of my boys went there. So I wound up applying, and I just kind of did everything on my own on the basis of everybody went to college. I said, let me go see what this is about, because being around the way, I wasn't doing anything, you know. And
Right.
but it wasn't like people before me was like, you going to college? It was never that, you know. It was just like I'm around the way by myself. Everybody's at college. Let me go to college, and
Mm.
how it went.
Wow. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that. For whatever reason, I feel like you came from a education pushed heavy background. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the wordplay. That might be what it is.
Nah, I mean, I know I can give credit to everything of how I am, pretty much. So I can give credit to my mom. Let me listen to Cool G rap. Would never let me turn it off. Like she never like yelled at me. No matter how loud I blasted it, would talk like sex blasting and all the cursing. My mom never thought the records would raise me more than she could.
Wow.
So you know, G rap, and listening to Kane and all that, with whatever the language was, that those were some of my first standards of understanding the level of putting words together. So I was raised from that from an audible standpoint, you know. So I'm an audio learner that way when I was younger. So listening to that, and then as I got old, as I started aging, then I used to go to the library and read more because then was able to kind of turn the words I'm hearing into the visual words that I'm able to read. But it was never really like that. I think this was my curiosity to get better at things because there's a lot of pressure as a kid and as a person when you're young to get better at something. Now it don't got to be rapping. It could be drawing. You know you don't want to go to the basketball court and be terrible. You know what I'm saying? We all know that. So um, I think overall, just coming up in New York in that environment in Brooklyn and things like that, the pressure to be the best at something it's like another level, which is everywhere. But you know, do you embrace it and then say I'm gonna get better and become the best at something? So that's pretty much how a lot of the things occurred for me. When I noticed something, I just would study it more and things like that. So listening to the records and the rhymes, that's what really got me there, the rhymes.
Yeah, and I mean, Coogee rap. So you couldn't ask for a better teacher when it comes to the words.
Yeah, that's really what got me to be able to understand um, the way you rhyme in the middle of before the end of the verse. Rakim, the ghetto and telling the story, and those were like my teachers outside of school. In which years later, when I got to college and I got some notoriety in college for doing things, I was able to actually put other professors on, which helped bridge a gap between the rap and that, because they had an ideology of understanding like poetry, but they
Mhm.
didn't really rap at some point to people at that time wasn't respected as much as it is now. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people remember years ago it was new in the news about being a fad. There's people that thought this joint wouldn't even be here
20
right now.
years. Yeah,
Yeah,
20 years.
right. So that goes on and on to like my college years and stuff like that. I don't know if you know, like in college, how I graduated out of there at Westbury. I wrote all my stuff in rhymes.
Ah,
So
that makes perfect sense because
yeah,
I mean you've always rhymed in complete sentences for the most part, and the English language. And I don't know if this is just in my mind or maybe it's true. Have you ever cursed on record?
I did. I used to curse when I was younger, rapping, when I first started rapping. So like, especially when it was like the first stages of like a punching words and I was trying to find myself younger, I was off the chain with the cursing. I was talking about everything because I was trying to be G rap.
Ah,
You know what I'm saying? So when you're young, you emulate who your favorite rappers are and so on and so forth. But then it wasn't until I got older to kind of find myself. Then we did an EP, Punch and Words EP. I cursed on there, and then after the Punch and Words EP, I've cursed on certain records, depending on what it is. On the Master Ace album,
right.
like we might have did like some records on some sex stuff, like and things like that. But other than that, no, I haven't cursed. I'm about 9 albums deep with my albums and the EMC albums. You won't hear me cursing.
Mm. That's what I kind of felt, but
Yeah,
I couldn't remember for sure. Just bars I think of, I don't remember curses. But
yeah, no,
that's interesting. So I'm not gonna drag you through your whole career, but obviously
that's all good, man.
the people that know the Lyricist Lounge, and I have to ask a question about just Lyricist Lounge in general.
Yeah.
So as a Virginia person, as a person from another state, back then you hear about the Lyricist Lounge, blah blah blah, and you think it is the mecca of lyricism, and all the MCs come together, and that's what it is. Was it
Right.
really a specific place, or was it a moving like this week is here, this week is there, or was
Right.
it just where y'all happen to get together?
Yeah, it's a moving. It was moving. It was wherever they were allowed to get a venue.
Mm,
That's what wherever they can get a venue, it was there. And then Danny, Danny and Anthony, Danny Castro, Anthony Marshall, the founders of it, they just did a lot of footwork back then. There was no Twitter, it was no, you couldn't really, it was no posting it up on the net. It was like they in the village or downtown in Lower East Side or wherever the hot spots were where people hung out.
right,
Because for those that don't know, like Manhattan is kind of like a central hub that no matter what city you're in, you usually go there to hang out in certain places. Lower East Side, it may be Greenwich Village and all these other parts you go to. And they knew like Washington Square Park on 14th Street, people are gonna be rapping there or people are gonna hang out there. So they knew to be in those places that if they handed out flyers there, the word would get out throughout the city because people came to those parts like the hub. And then from there, they started showcasing unknown talent, unsigned talent, and they would have known talent hosts, which was like genius in themselves,
right,
because a lot of times, if you don't have the fee for the performance, you may be able to afford the host for them to host, but then also under that moniker, you're able to bring out a whole bunch of other unknown dope talent. So that's how you really started getting known, because if you see Q-Tip hosting and some unknown people, you come there to see Q-Tip because he's hosting, but you get put on to the others. So yeah, that's how it was though. It was definitely a mobile atmosphere.
That's probably, I should say, how the albums, in my opinion, the Lyricist Lounge albums worked great, in my opinion,
Right.
as a listener, because people that didn't necessarily understand or know what the Lyricist Lounge was would see certain names, they'd be drawn to it, and then hear those others like you just explained. So like that kind of worked the same way, which makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was a genius idea. I mean, what it led to proves, how great of an idea it was.
Indeed. So before, because I gotta talk about the Lyricist Lounge show, the TV show,
Yeah.
which probably does not get enough credit in the grand scheme. Not necessarily that it's looking for credit, in itself, but I don't think it gets enough credit from bridging that in living color to Chappelle show. Maybe it's a Hamilton as an idea, the whole thing. That's just what I was thinking about as I kind of went back and watched some old episodes, and I was like, like I can see how somebody could take this and it grow into this eventually.
Right.
But before we go there, I gotta mention my favorite group is Tribe Called Quest. There's a lot of people like that, obviously. Tribe is Tribe. And you were on the Love Movement album, as well as another one of my favorite albums, the Black Star album, Twice in a Lifetime. The reason I bring those two up, obviously, it's my favorite group, and Black Star album is a great album that I love. And I actually brought it up. I interviewed Sean J. Period,
Yeah.
3 months ago, and I was like, he started talking about Lyricist Lounge. I was like, yo, the thing that comes to my mind when I think of the TV show is you and you and Most on the ledge
Right.
freestyling, and then Tracy Ellis Ross comes out and stuff. Y'all, that is the clearest memory of Lyricist Lounge show that I have.
Yeah, I mean that was genius on a basis of I would say who I think Claude Brooks, which was the executive producer at the time, and if you know Claude Brooks, he's been in the industry for a while. He even had a show called Claude's Crib, I think back in the days, and the show overall didn't really have a direction after we did the auditions to get the pilot. They brought MTV brought Claude in, and Claude was the one that actually put together the idea to make it get to TV. As far as we already had the sketch, like the original sketch comedy part of rapping and something out, it stemmed from me doing a freestyle that got caught on tape, and then they were like, hey man, when Jacob Septimus came to me, he was like, man, he had the tape. It was called The Professor, and it was me freestyling in the studio during the recording Lyricist Lounge, and my boy Wise Guy in Gaston caught me freestyling, but I did a tutorial video freestyling about how to make you rhyme better. And then all other rappers around me would ask me questions, and I answered them in rhyme, and that caught on video, and it was called The Professor, because I was the teacher and telling them about how they need to behave in class. Jake goes, yo, this could be a TV show. I shunned it off. I said, yeah, holla at me when it could be a TV show. Lo and behold, we get the pilot. Now, once you do lo and behold, we do the auditions to get the pilot. All we had was a sketch. It was a court sketch, and we got the show. But it was Claude that they said, hey, we got this hip hop thing. We don't know what to do with it. And he said, all right, well, let's combine it as rap sketches kind of with some Saturday Night Live sketches and match it so it can fill up time. So it's not just a whole show of rhyming the whole half hour.
Right.
So I always got to big up the people that got it to that point. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
Man, that is crazy. I actually forgot that Tracy Ellis Ross was on the show. And when I was looking at the old joints, I was like, yo, how did I not? I would never have connected her from that to Blackish ever.
Yeah. Man, it's one of those shows that everybody was hoping that it just stemmed off like a SNL, right? Like these people went here and this and that. And in some regards, it has, if you keep up with us, if you know
Right.
who we are, where we are. So like Tracy doing Blackish, Heather McDonald, she had she was writing for forgot the lady that has a late night show. She was dating 50 Cent. Forgot her name now.
Oh, I forgot her name. Oh, and I see her face. Dang.
You know, yeah. So she was writing for that show. So she's like well-known writing. She's acted in some movies, uh, and then some of the other characters sprinkle here and there. You see in different things. Dev Jeff is still active doing a lot of stuff. Who else? Well, Power, my boy Power, that was on the show with us. He's a community activist right now. Yeah, man, community activist, runs a boxing gym. He's into health and fitness, heavy, and he actually is doing something at Overthrow boxing gym in Lower East Side. They got a community fridge for the homeless that sits outside, and they refill it up. And if you're homeless, you come through, you grab some food for plant-based stuff. It's
Wow.
Yeah, I reposted it the other day. You just come through and people donate, put stuff in the fridge, and you know, homeless people just come through can grab some celery and some almond milk and go eat for the night and make food for themselves. It's crazy.
That's dope.
Yeah, so check him out, Power Malu on there. Fool is still doing this thing. He put a record out last year, dropped the album. And then I'm still active doing a lot of stuff. So it's just about if you keep up with us and this and that. And then everybody, I still talk to everybody. So it's cool too in that regard too, you know.
That's beautiful though. That's beautiful. And when I said the bridge thing, I left out Wildin' Out because, of course, Wildin' Out is
Yeah.
a baby of,
Yeah.
Lyricist Lounge, definitely. So I gotta, well, I did mention at the beginning that you're an author, and we talked about it before we started recording. What words of worth? What led you to actually put the words to paper in book form?
Because I already have hundreds of books written, but they're only in audio form. So it's just like I got all these hundreds of books written because I always want to write books and do books, and I'm like, so I was like, at first I thought I was gonna do it a simple way. I was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna put a book out with my rhymes for that album, and then I was like, man, that'd be super short book, but you know, it's just gonna be like, you know, whatever, 14 songs. It's like that's over quickly. So then I was like, you know what? I got time during this pandemic. So every day I just got up every day during the pandemic and just kept writing and writing and started seeing where it led to. And then I saw how it was developing and what it was becoming. And then just kind of looking at the history of how these type of books are done. It's either done by somebody else speculating what somebody thought. I mean, even to this day, we still debate what Shakespeare is meaning because we can't ask.
Right.
So I just felt like to hear it from me, it's me telling you why I thought about this, why I think it's important, my perspective. It allows me to have a different voice because when you hear me rap, it's 16 bars. You don't really hear me talk though. Reading, I think you get to hear me kind of talk.
Mm-hmm.
You know, listening to 16 bars, you hear me rap. It's two different worlds almost. It's almost like, you know, me as myself right here, like how we kicking it here. This is the guy that puts it all together and then says, what is the channel to get it out? And Wordsworth is the channel to get it out in 16 short form. But there's so much more to it. So yeah, man. So that's really it. You get a lot of these books like that, but it's always broken down by other people. And I felt like I should be the one to break it down. If you want to ask a question, you know it's 100%.
That, not that it's about the stream of income, but that is a excuse me, not untapped, but definitely wide open market for MCs because especially lyricists. I mean, well, obviously lyricists, not even especially. I don't know if anybody's going to read a Yin Yang Twins book about lyrics. So, well, for lyricists, I feel like the book, even the audio book lane and the explanations in audio, I feel like that's a whole slightly tapped market that might open up eventually to more and more artists.
Yeah, I suggested. I actually every rapper I know or talk to, I tell them to do it.
Yeah.
Same book. Yeah, I tell them to do the same book I did because of the stream of revenue it is, but also just the basis of the book is written already.
Right, right, right. You
You
see,
know what I'm saying? It's not really. It's almost like the book is me interviewing myself based on the rhymes.
right. But you know the questions to ask yourself so you can get the actual information that should be out.
Yeah, I could just read my lines and say, why did I write that? Here you go, boom, boom. So it's just a long interview with myself, how I see it. But also it's just so many other avenues to understanding if there's the value in the words in which I believe there are, and there is. No beat. If I'm really saying something, you're gonna be able to read that anytime. You're gonna read that, you can read that at a poetry event. I've been to open mics and people step up on stage with people's book reading passages. Now you can do it from a poetry aspect. So that's the other thing. It's poetry. It's also music. It's in so many different other avenues. But if I don't present it that way, people will overlook it. So now that's in a book. Now it's a poetry book. But it's like it's been poetry. If it was a cappella, it's poetry. I mean, you know how we do with the technical stuff.
Yeah.
So I felt I needed to do that. And then it is part of the legacy though as far as money and income, because like it's another thing that once it's said and done, whoever buys that book forever, my kids get that. So, all my stuff is set up like that. You know what I'm saying? So like I own my publishing. So it's not, for all my things I ever do, I register everything I've ever done. So there's no I see that picture, you know what I'm saying?
That's dope. Yeah, you got all the bases covered. That's a great thing. I kind of skipped over what I should have mentioned earlier. Your connection to Richmond is the fact that on the Mirror Music album,
Yeah.
first single was Trust, and Trust was produced by Richmond's own Docs One, aka Todd Easter, if you know him in the streets. One, and yeah, how did y'all even? Was it True? Did True link y'all out?
Man, True is like the link to people. He knows like people that do everything. If you holler at True, you say, yo, I need somebody to do something like that. True probably knows like three people that know how to do that. And so the link was with True for me and True doing music. And then meeting Docs. And then when Docs played me that beat, it was just like a no-brainer looking for a record, like a single for me. And that was the B-side to Gotta Pay at that time, who Odyssey did that.
Right.
And, but I did Gotta Pay, but the main video was Trust, which was important for me to do that. And yeah, Docs, man, he came with some joints, man. He had joints.
Yeah, I asked him about it the other day. Um, First, I was talking to him about the video because he and I, along with True and True's manager at the time, rode up. I think we were in Jersey for your video shoot, and we were talking about that the other day, and he was just telling me about you pushing. He felt that you were pushing for Trust to be the single because he was like, man, it's not gonna work out. The record label wanted to go with "You Gotta Pay" as the single, and he felt like he was like, all right, fine, it ain't gonna be the single, but at least it's on the album. And then you called him and told him it was on it was the single. Yeah, he flipped. So
yeah, I mean, I was I got to big up Docs on that because I don't think people understand the dynamics in which I understand the scrutiny that is placed upon me. So what I mean by that is I'm very self-aware of how people view me, which, for instance, at that time I was backpack rapper, right? So Gotta Pay would kept me backpack rapper. Trust put me into storytelling rapper, and I've been that since. So I understood the game I was playing and understood the gamble I had to take, and I knew why that record was so important for me, because it put me in a whole nother lane and category of respect. You get what I'm saying? It allowed people to say like, "Oh, this dude rhyming about something," and then I'm rhyming about something. Period. That was big. Like, and what I'm rhyming about, you relate to. Like, yo, that dude telling it. He's telling the real. What he's saying is, I go through that. I feel that.
Right.
So that was that record was the record that helped me establish my future as far as my respect for writing. So I couldn't do Gotta Pay for a whole for a single because it would have stranded me. I'd have been stranded. So that's why that record was so big for me to push for.
I owe you an apology. You might not remember. I hope you don't remember, but I'm gonna bring it up anyway. So, video shoot on the stoop, on the steps. The girls walking by,
Yep.
shoot the scene, and you're like, "Yeah, we're gonna do blah blah blah." I decided to interject myself into this discussion between you and the film crew, and I'm like, "Do you want us to pour water over this way?" Blah blah. I don't know if you remember that, and you looked at me like, "Whose man's is this?"
Oh no, I probably would have, man. I probably would have. Yeah, I would do that though. I would be like, my dude, what are you doing? Like, because no, you know what though, man? I chalk that type of stuff up to being young.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I do. I chalk that. I've been in situations like that in which, put it like this, I may have acted or did something like that prior to me not having knowledge to not do that.
Right.
So you know what I'm saying? And I've been with my other boys that have done stuff similar, and I had to kind of look at them kind of like, because even me being younger, I remember, yeah, me doing stuff that I definitely feel like now I look back at it like they probably thought I was wilding because
Yeah.
I said, yo, what's up with this? And they like, yo, chill, like, because I was young. So
Right.
you know, it's just being young, man. I mean, at that time, we talking, I'm like 25 years old, you know what I'm saying? 20s in my 20s. Like, I don't really know much like that. So like, but I did know more at that time as far as like I knew the protocols of no suggestions come from outside.
Right.
You know, like just because remember I'm doing that after TV, so I already had experience of other stuff. So when you know, man, I learned so much about what TV is like when you go to do stuff. It's not no the interjections from left field you can't do.
Right.
You
Yeah.
can't, you know what I mean. You can't just be coming left field interjection. So it's like, you gotta let the people do their thing and follow protocol because that's just how it works. So, you being young then and me being young then, you know what I'm saying? It's only because I had probably that knowledge of, yo, that's not how that works. Like good suggestion, but you probably you're vocaling it wrong. And it's, you know what I'm saying? Really, that's how I look at stuff sometimes, you know what I'm saying?
Nah, it was crazy. It was crazy. But yeah, that was hilarious. That's my main memory from, well, there's lots of stuff. That the young lady in the video, she had the made in Italy tattoo on her foot. I remember that was the first time I remember seeing a tattoo on the side of a foot. Mystic was in the joint, and it was a good time. It was a good day trip for us to come up and be a part of that. So
yeah, I forgot we went to Jersey to do the shoe store part, I believe, and things like that. Yeah, I forgot that. But yeah,
that was a good time.
That was a good time. But yeah, that Doc's one record solidified my path going forward. That record would get played. Man, that record got played, and like I said, man, it put me in a different category.
I gotta ask you one MC question. I'm not a big top five guy because it's always most people come with four people that you would expect to hear, and then one random person that nobody knows or nobody will put in their top five. But I have to ask you for your top five, and I'm gonna say favorite as opposed to best.
Yeah.
Favorite MCs from Brooklyn.
Oh, Brooklyn. Okay. You gotta go with Jay-Z. I'm gonna go with Jay. Another one from Brooklyn. Of course, Big is in that category. You got Big. Man, you know, I was thinking I might even throw MC Light in there at some point. It was kind of crazy at some point.
I respect that. I respect
Yeah,
that.
just to kind of switch it up too. Like I don't want to act like I don't remember people like that. Uh Man, Brooklyn. Ace. Gotta go with Ace. Ace, man. Uh Ace is one of the greatest of all time because currently he puts stuff out that maybe the mainstream don't know, but even people in the mainstream recognize how dope it still is. Uh, one more.
One more.
I'm glad I put Light in there because at one point Light was very serious. Uh, Man, this is a tough question. Uh,
It's a little tougher than the general MC question.
yeah. I'm trying to think.
Obvious.
One more Brooklyn. I'm probably missing somebody. People be like, yo, you didn't put such in there.
Nah.
But
Yourself. We'll go with words because
yeah, I'm stuck, man. I'm stuck because I really, you know, I like Chip Fu at that time too.
yeah.
Chip Fu was ill for me. You know, you got Chubb Rock. I mean, Chubb. I mean, it was some people that because I'm going off stuff I bought too. That's what I think. So like, I'm up here like, did I buy that though? Did you know what I bought? But yeah, those are kind of some of them there.
Word. Have you been on well, you know DJ EFN from Drink Champs
Yeah.
as a podcast called Fatherhood's Podcast.
Okay. Yeah, I know about it.
Have you been on there? I don't know.
I've been on that, but I know about it because he posted on Instagram.
Okay. I feel like one day he's gonna have you on there. It just seems like a thing that you would be on. I don't know why. But I bring that up because the other day I saw a clip where they were talking to Mike G from Jungle Brothers.
Right.
And he was saying at some point in his career, like, and I think it was at like a higher point than he may have led on to, but at like in the midst of his career,
Mm-hmm.
he had the need to get a regular job
Right.
and started working at a record store. So he told the story and how Q-Tip came in there and they just stand there looking at each other like he's working in a record store, like basically like what are you doing in a record store?
Right.
But I felt like in that moment it was kind of like he felt bad for it, which he may have if he was at the height of his career.
Right.
You have a job.
Yep.
Was there ever any reservation about having this public career and then having a day job?
This is where it's so funny about this question for me. If you know me, I've always had a job. Even when I did Lyricist Lounge Show, I worked in the World Trade Center programming beepers. I would come in,
What?
did the job. People would watch the show the night before and be like, yo, that was dope last night. And I would still be at that job. I worked at PageNet in the World Trade Center on the 17th floor during the Lyricist Lounge Show because I always had a fear of not having money like that. So at that moment, I was concerned about knowing that when you do a season, you don't know if you come back. So when I first season, you know, was out there buying clothes and this and that, whatever the case. But I came back and I had the job. I still came back working because remember, you go out and film and this and that, but then you come home, the season doesn't start when you come home. Remember, there's like months. They're doing press. Remember, you know, it don't just start like that. So what are you doing for months? You waiting for a TV show to come? You know what I'm saying? So I had a job, and then I would work the job and at PageNet, and then go home, and then the next episode come on the next week, and then years go by, and even as I kept touring, I've always had jobs. I worked at Guitar Center. You work at Guitar Center, you work there, you get like a huge discount. I will get equipment for the group and then still go on tour because the Guitar Center, you could actually work there and still go on tour and keep your job. So I've worked at several jobs, always had a job. Because you got to think, right? At the end of the day, especially with the way rap works, there's no retirement thing. So all those jobs that I have and had, and to this day, at the end of the day, I'm gonna have a social security going on, got retirement plan going on, and royalties. So it's a whole gambit of things that I deal with, acknowledging how it works from examples before me. So people say like, man, you got your publishing pad. Like, yeah, I own my publishing everything because I seen Ice Cube run up in the office with a bat from reading the source.
Right.
I read about Suge owning Snoop's publishing for 4 albums. You know what I'm saying? So why would I be reading this, watching this go down in real time, and then give away my stuff?
True.
So it just was one of those things of I knew that I remember I had a deal on the table with what's the Avatar Records. They did the Oz soundtrack, and they offered me a nice amount of money for my publishing for like 2 or 3 albums. Nice amount of money. And I told them nah, because I said, if I'm mad at you tomorrow, I'm writing albums that you're getting paid for. I told them that straight up. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? I told them, I said, nah, because I'll get mad at you tomorrow. I'm just gonna be writing and you still getting checks no matter what I write on for the rest of my life. I don't want to ever be in a position like that. So I never put myself in a position of like somebody controls my destiny making music.
Mm.
So
That's heavy though. That's heavy. Because that's
yeah,
something that a lot of people, because again, you're dealing with younger people who are not thinking about 40 years from now, 30 years from now.
you
Well,
never.
now, let me get this check. And that's actually how record companies were built. Like record companies are built off the sweat and the equity of the artists.
Yep, and the ignorance of the artist.
Gets crumbs early and doesn't realize that they're just getting crumbs because they're just happy to get something.
Yeah. But man, I tell this story when I'm asked about questions like this. I remember as soon as I learned what publishing was, I went and gathered up every record I rhymed on in the early 90s, whether it was vinyl or CDs, and I sat in my mom's apartment and I typed in everything into BMI from then. I did that because I'm not. I'm not a you tell me and I don't do it, or you tell me about it and I wait like next week. I'm a you tell me about it, I do it tomorrow, the day after the latest. So when I knew how it worked, I went and typed everything up in there. So like, if I'll show you, if you see my BMI, you're gonna see like songs with me and Mozzie and Soul Purpose, which is like 90s. You're gonna see stuff from like, because I did it once they told me about it that day, and I just went on the computer and did it. So it's just really just being very active about something when somebody tells me about it. Proactive, man. Because who else is gonna fight for me if it's not me? After hearing all these horror stories, I remember, man, I got so many stories, man. I don't want to kill you with these stories, but I got stories, man, about like I
Take
remember.
one more. Give me one more story. One more story.
Yeah, I remember me and my boy Belief. My boy Belief did the oldest on my album. He did a couple other joints, man. Real dope producer. He actually produced Grammy nominated for producing Sia's Chandelier. And he's done a lot of underground rapper stuff before he did that. So look for Belief. Name's Belief. Remember, me and him were in this apartment. I'm there recording. I believe I recorded the oldest that day. And another rapper came through that we know, had like 10 albums. And me and Belief were like, yeah, I just got my BMI check. Yeah, it was cool, boom, boom. And the other rapper said, yo, they really pay you? He had 10 albums out. 10 albums out.
Hmm.
Had 10 albums already done and never registered anything. So I'm just trying to tell people, like, when people will say, yo, I want to play you something, or I got a mixtape, youngins, I always say, you got BMI, ASCAP, don't play me nothing yet. I don't want to hear nothing yet. Go do that first, because it's just the understanding of it. And when people are telling you, it's young, when you're young, it's hard for you to be like, they're telling me the right thing to do, but I don't feel like doing it right now. It's not important to me. Like the priorities are a little different. So yeah, man. So I watched, man, Ice Cube and all that stuff back then, man. Those was like horror stories to us. If people don't remember that, that's weird to me.
Yeah.
If you're not an artist and remember the horror stories of people getting jerked back in the days, fighting, running up in offices, and then the same opportunity it came to you and you still went and did it, I don't know what to say.
Right. You had the example. You chose to do it anyway. Understood. Bruh, I think I've taken enough of your day. Enough of your day. You gave me a solid hour. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. Anytime, man.
We plugged the book with Wordsworth. You can grab that on Amazon. I don't know where you're pushing it from, anywhere specific, but
Yeah, Amazon is fine, man. Amazon
and
is
of course, all the music, always EMC to anything that's got your name on the Pearl Gates joint. And
yeah. That's one of my favorite albums ever. Champion Sounds. Check that out. And check out Peabody and Sherman. I'm on there, episode 2 on Netflix.
word?
Yeah, Netflix, season 1, episode 2. See me on there, Prince Paul. So a lot of stuff. Just I like to let people know what I've done and I'm doing, because like I'm not out and about all the time like that. But like look out if you're watching St. Judy. That's on cable right now. It just dropped maybe about two months ago on cable. It was in the theaters. I got the song at the end. Soon as for the credits, you're gonna hear that song on there. So if you look at St. Judy, cartoon stuff, and over the years, that's what I've been doing. SpongeBob and Dexter's Laboratory. I got 2 masters. I got a master's in secondary education from Grand Canyon University as well.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, man. I just stay busy with trying to accumulate these things and accolades and do all these things, because there's a bigger picture I see with helping the culture be established from some preconceived notions that people have about it. And sometimes, me having these accolades and these things allow me to get indoors that allow me to open up minds and actually wake them up about what it really is about and what it's like, to create and put a song together and lyricism and things like that. So I take that and I take it super seriously, and I understand, I think the depth of why I'm do what I do and what I can do. So I'm just trying to live up to those expectations.
Well, I definitely appreciate it. You definitely lived up to my expectations in this discussion. So
Thanks for having me.
Again, bro. Once again, that's Wordsworth. Sauce. Out here.
Peace.